Hello, everybody. Welcome to Roundtable, coming to you live from Beijing. I'm He Yang, joined by Lai Ming and Huang Shen. Good to have you with us on today's program at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night. Data shows a ton of sleepless souls are fidgeting and still wide awake. What are they doing? We take a look at what's keeping folks up at 3 a.m. Also on the menu, in Roundtable's Heart to Heart segment, we answer your questions about life, career, news items, and just about anything. If you have a question, we help you find an answer. To participate, please send your voice memo to ezfmroundtable@foxmail.com. We give you that reply on today's live show. But first, on today's Roundtable, you've probably heard of this one. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. It may be true that the go-getters among us tend to get up early, but it's also true that many people out there are night owls. Recently, CBN data analyzed search results on the internet at 3 a.m. What are people looking up in the middle of the night? So, I'm just wondering, guys, what exactly is going on? 3 a.m. How come people are not sleeping?
Some might be doing a night shift.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And
Patrolling the streets.
yes, of course, there's hardworking people who are doing the graveyard shift, but like hats off to you, doing your work kind of thing. What about the other people though? And there seems to be a lot of sleepless souls out there.
Some may have high maintenance kids.
Oh,
just like you.
You know?
So, what do you mean by that?
So, little babies, they have this tiny little stomach.
Okay.
About the size of their fist.
Okay.
So, you can't feed them enough.
Right.
Even if you do, they run out of food in about 1 hour, 2 hours. So they're guaranteed to wake up in the middle of the night and cry for food.
Right. So
that's when they're very little.
Okay. Night snack.
Yeah.
Which means the adults need to get up to, or one of the parents at least, right?
Well, usually the one with the breast.
Okay. And how come you look a little bit knackered today?
Well, that's because he's teething these days.
There you go. And what we're talking about today is that there are studies and surveys and search engine results that are compiled to take a look at people's activity
right.
In the middle of the night. So aside from the little baby, hardworking people, what are other folks doing on the internet?
So based on the data gathered by CBN data, and we can divide the people who are not going to bed after 3 a.m. into two categories. So which are passive insomniacs and active night owls. So some people, they are just suffer from insomnia. For other people, they may do it in an active way. Like Lai Ming, I think he's taking care of the baby, of course, or lots of the new parents. And some people, they just can't fall asleep. And for the active, the night owls or the late nighters, well, they are doing their search at 3 a.m., of course. And it's interesting, like, their parents may think most of them, they can't fall asleep in the wee hours just because they have nothing better to do. They're just so empty in life. But in reality, if you check out the search results by these young night owls, they have been wrecked with anxiety and fear as well. So they are worried about what harm staying up late may cause to their health condition. So they are searching for the answers for what's the harm of staying up late, or the cause of hair loss, and the ranking of anti-aging skincare products. So they definitely care about their health to some extent, and they want to find solutions to make up for that, the lack of sleep.
Now, these are the results gathered based on what people search for using the search engine Baidu. It's by no means a representation of what people do when they're wide awake at 3 a.m. because there's also TikTok, it's also Kuaishou, and plenty of other, and also Qidian, the online novel websites where people can visit. But again, the results on search engines is indicative to some extent, in the sense that these are people who are wondering, who are thinking, who are looking for answers to their questions, compared to, let's say, somebody like me who will be lying wide awake and watching a video on Bilibili or just reading an ebook on Kindle.
At 3 a.m.
Yeah, there are times, like for instance, when you just patted the kid to sleep and then you find you have difficulty falling into sleep yourself. Then, in my experience, I mean, video streaming is no help. Don't ever try stream a video if you are trying to get to fall asleep.
Okay.
But, ebooks usually helps, but depending on what you're reading, there are members of our team who says, no, reading doesn't help because I'm into suspension and thrillers, so it'll keep me wide awake. Whereas
Or romantic novels.
Yeah. For those who are into perhaps Russian literature or Irish literature, like you could read War and Peace and then Ulysses. I mean, this might help.
Yeah, when that book is like the combined thickness of 2 bricks, then yeah, just looking at the book cover makes me want to fall asleep. But when you're reading, let's say, romance novels and, after 3 chapters, he's finally
Getting the first kiss.
Or make the move.
and stuff, and then it's like, oh yeah, I'm definitely staying up for this. But I think 3 a.m. that's a really interesting time to sort of conduct this kind of research on what people are doing. And what I find to be I guess rather humorous in a way, but I suppose those who are struggling to fall asleep would not see it this way, just by what Huang Shen mentioned earlier, was that people sometimes, on the one hand, are looking for answers. Why am I still awake? What kind of detrimental results is this going to do to my health?
And what are the ways to stay healthy?
While you are staying up late at the middle of the night at 3 a.m. And that's just the biggest paradox in the world. Or one can even say there's a certain sense of irony to it.
Yeah.
What explains this kind of psyche?
Well, I don't know. I mean, because traditionally you might think that you want to get a good night's sleep in order for your body to recover from the whole day's work, and for your body to build up the immune system, which is necessary in resisting all kinds of infections and diseases. And so people have this stress and anxiety about sleep, and that is when it's time to sleep, they're supposed to be sleeping, and when they're not, they get anxious, and they will wonder what will happen to their bodies and what would actually help them fall back to sleep, that kind of thing. So that anxiety certainly is a part of it.
Yeah, and it's very interesting for these people because I think they just want to seek some companionship in the late night, and they might feel lonely. So when you can't fall asleep, it's probably one of the longest moments in your day, and you just want to be heard. You want someone to give you an answer that can calm you down and relieve your stress, and then you can go back to a good night's sleep. And for other situations, I think some people just use that really quiet nighttime as a compensation for their loss of quality me time in the busy daytime.
Yeah.
And this is finally a time you can do something that you are into, and you don't need to be bothered by other people around you and to please other people,
Like
or
playing
just
the trumpet.
yes, or just
I'm kidding. Please don't do
well,
that.
who knows? Someone may do that, right? Or you just don't need to shoulder that family responsibility by taking care of the family chores or looking after your kids. It's finally a time between you and yourself. You can do whatever you want. But when the clock sticks to 3 a.m., your body will have that reaction. You probably don't feel comfortable, to be honest. And then you are panicking about it. Then how to seek the answer? go to the internet and you just open the screen and staring at no matter big screen or small screen, and which has the blue lights and which will keep you awake for another 1 or 2 hours, and which will result in your bad sleeping quality.
I can totally relate to the desire to have a little bit of me time. I mean, over the past 1 year and a half, I spent most of my spare time tending to the little baby, and sometimes I couldn't help but feel that there's no me here. I mean, I haven't spent any time either reading or playing a video game or just hang out over in the cyberspace. I haven't done anything like that. And as a result, sometimes when I have to tend to the baby in the middle of the night and I come back to my bed, and I would think, well, perhaps now is the time that I watch some funny videos on Bilibili or other platforms. And it's usually when I have these ideas that I really continue to have problem sleeping. Usually I have good sleep hygiene. I don't have an iPad or an iPhone by the bed. I usually have a Kindle, and which doesn't exude blue light, like Hansa mentioned earlier. And it really helps falling asleep. But it really shows that when it comes to sleep, you have to be self-disciplined. You can't really afford to have a smartphone or a tablet by your side, and you gotta be really stringent about it and exercise sleep hygiene. And when it comes to sleep hygiene, I don't mean that you need to take a shower before bed.
Why not? And burn some incense sticks.
Yeah. Although in some cases, I mean, taking a shower really helps. But sleep hygiene goes beyond that. I mean, it doesn't mean that you need to be clean in order to go to sleep. It means you need to have a whole set of healthy procedures before you go to bed. I mean, things like not having a digital screen by your bed, and not eating and not doing physical exercise very close to the time you want to sleep, that kind of thing. So a lot of the details, if you want to know more, search for sleep hygiene while you are awake at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, that's definitely useful for some people. And, well, Liming's a very hands-on kind of dad, which is, kudos to you, sir. And also, this guy, he's kind of lucky that I've seen him fall asleep in the weirdest places.
Just half an hour ago.
So basically, you get some people like Lai Ming or the Hong Kong star Zheng Zhiwei. Apparently, he's well known for just being able to fall asleep whenever, wherever. Apparently, he was hosting some big conference that got like half of the mega stars in Hong Kong attend that conference. And then after the opening line he gave, and then other people started talking, and then we're like, okay, back to you, Mr. Zheng Zhiwei. And he was
sleeping
already dozed off. And it took like a minute. So in a way, people like that are really lucky, and you don't really suffer from insomnia. But there are some people who, honestly try really hard, but just cannot go to sleep. And then they search online at 3 a.m. According to search engine results, they are searching about
the cause of hair loss, the ranking of anti-aging skincare products, roommate snoring, relationship breakdown, mosquitoes. Wow.
That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, because like when you think about the causes like that make you cannot fall asleep, it's all these really familiar reasons, and we have been there before, like roommate snoring or just period pain, of course, and sometimes you just feel stressful. And it's more interesting that there's also a regional difference like between people in terms of searching for their own reasons for staying up late. And for people from the south, they like to search what will happen to my social insurance if I quit my job. Or someone asks a question, so what if I dream about my boyfriend cheating on me?
And the key word here is dream about.
Yeah,
it's not happened yet,
or it's not even happened anytime like in the real life, but you still have that illusion that your boyfriend may cheat on you someday. And the other one is what to post on WeChat moments on my birthday. Wow.
And that's stressing people out in a way, maybe. At least it's in their minds. And also, I think in the middle of the night, we tend to, if you're still awake, we tend to just get sentimental.
Yeah.
Because Huang Shan just mentioned the Southerners and the Northerners, apparently, some people, like, they also think about relationship stuff. Like, oh, suddenly my ex-boyfriend just contacted me on social media.
What does
What
that
does that
even
mean?
mean?
Yeah, that can keep you up.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, those who are born after the millennium, apparently, one of the top searches of this group of people is how to relieve that anxiety right before the exam. And I'm just so glad I'm a grown up now and I don't really need to worry about that stuff too much anymore. But yeah, it used to be so stressful right before the examination.
Yeah, and it's just sad how there can be no answers to some of these questions. Like, how do you relieve the anxiety before an exam? I mean, my solution is try and work hard every day. So, so when it
Teacher's
happens,
pet, goody two shoes, you know, hardworking high achiever.
yeah. So when it happens, you know, you've done your best, and there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing you can do. So that really helps. And then answers, that, for instance, like on health maintenance tips, and what is it? Tips
Goji berries.
Tips on career change after 30 years old. I mean, a lot of this, you
That's a
can't
tough one.
find an answer to your very specific question. You have to really look into where you are in terms of your career and where you want to be in the next 5 to 10 years, that sort of thing. Nowhere else can you find the answer to your question except for from within yourself.
That's so true. And these are the toughest things that no matter what other people say or how many posts and blogs you've read online, but ultimately it has to be you that go through it all yourself to come up with your own decision, and nobody can replace you in that sense. So we all have to live our lives in that sense. And Huang Shen, give us some guidance and tips or what to avoid as pitfalls if one wants to be in better health and, you know, simply have high quality sleep.
Yeah, try to avoid all kind of screens during the nighttime because it will definitely interfere your sleeping quality. And probably before the sleep, you can do some yoga if possible because yoga is a very good exercise for your health, and also it can significantly relieve your stress and pressure. So you can try to do the deep breathing exercise because it's a very useful relaxation technique to soothe your soul and just enable you to have a good night's sleep. And what else? I think especially during the daytime, you have to do some physical jobs and to burn your energies. And if during the weekend, instead of staying indoor for the entire day, just go out and walk around a little bit, do something that can interest you. In this way, you just stay creative and productive. I think that's the best solution to a good night's sleep.
And you also have to know yourself, know your body very well. I know I said earlier that you should try and avoid physical exercise immediately before going to sleep. I mean, that's the advice that most people would give to people who want to fall asleep but can't. But in my case, I mean, when I was in college, I had this habit of going jogging in the middle of the night before going to sleep.
In the middle of the night.
Like 9 p.m., sort of 9:30 p.m., and then I slept like a pig, and I became a nuisance, commonly known as a snoring roommate for those who were unfortunate to share a same dormitory with me. But again, that's me. I mean, you could try and look out for your own personal habit and how that would affect your sleep pattern, and which is very, very important. I know, and also these kind of things, you can't really be too anxious and too eager in finding out. Like I said earlier, you should know your body. But in my experience, you have to be patient and reach a certain age before you know how your body might react in different circumstances. So just pay
that's
attention and wait
true.
for it.
Yeah. Back in the days when still in college, so you're in your late teens, or well, actually, if you're or early 20s or so, staying up all night, pulling an so-called all-nighter at the library, or just go dancing, and usually clubs open at like 11 or so, and then you just go dancing, ouch, and then get out of the club at like 2 a.m. and then go to KFC for like a bucket of chicken with your friends, and then come back, shower, and then go to a morning lecture. Like, that was fine. You were, like somebody who went through that kind of lifestyle.
Wait a minute, it didn't add up. You leave the club at 2 a.m. and you go to KFC and you come home and take a shower and then you attend a morning lecture.
Well,
So, how long have you lingered at the KFC, or how long did you spend in the bathroom taking a shower?
okay, so do we have to get into the nitty gritty?
Of course.
It's like an investigation. So what happened to He Yang during those 3 hours, like early, right before sunrise? Well, there's stuff to do.
KFC?
Well,
When was your lecture?
sometimes they start like really early, like 8
Wow.
or 9. Like the really early ones
So
used
you
to
have
start at 8.
6 hours to enjoy the snack and then also take the
No,
shower.
you get out of the club at 2, right? And then you get to the KFC, which is probably 2:30. And then, and then also, yeah, stuff happens. And,
Sorry for putting you on the spot. I just thought it was funny.
well, I'm glad that I can humor you. So my point is, when you're young, like, you just have all that energy, but once you hit a certain age, especially, your body tend to tell you that maybe that kind of lifestyle, at least once in a lifetime, maybe, but not every day, certainly no. And also with other responsibilities that roll in this little thing called life, usually you can just get really exhausted at the end of the day, and also just no willpower anymore to sort of keep you do other stuff. But I do sympathize with people who say that on the one hand they really want to go to sleep. They know this is good for you, but on the other hand, they refuse to sleep because it will mean that this day is over, and therefore they're just doing the me time thing, or sort of just fidgeting just so that they
Right.
refuse to give in to the fact that one day, another day, is going to be over.
We mentioned something about regional difference, and funny thing how people in big cities and second and third tier cities, they behave differently when they are lying awake in bed in the middle of the night. Users in second tier to fifth tier cities are more curious at night, and the number of search questions is higher than that in first tier cities. My understanding is perhaps they don't need to get up way too early, like 5 a.m. to make the first subway train and to beat the traffic, so
course.
therefore they can afford to lie in bed and wondering about the answers to their questions a little bit longer than others.
Yeah, and those folks sometimes ask more philosophical questions. But whereas those city dwellers in first tier cities, so the super big cities in China, sometimes people are asking stuff like,
Employment.
like these very realistic, practical questions that are bothering them. You're listening to Roundtable. Coming up, more discussion. Stick around, everybody. Don't go away.
Informed opinion and heated debate. Find out what's got China talking and join us for your roundtable discussion.
You're listening to Roundtable with myself, He Yang, joined by Lai Ming and Huang Shen. Coming up, when you get a new digital device, a smartphone or pad, for example, check the memory storage labeled on the box and the actual amount that shows up in your settings. Voila! You'll probably spot a difference. So why are you getting less storage than specified? And our heart-to-heart segment. We answer your voice questions. To participate, please send a voice memo or a voice question to ezfmroundtable@foxmail.com. We air your audio first and give you a reply on the live show. Also, if you're listening to our show on demand, you can find us at Roundtable China on Apple Podcast. If you like us, give us a 5-star review or tell a friend about us. It will help other folks to find the show, and also we get to know what you think about the show. And now on Roundtable, as we continue today's discussion. A well-known comedian and smartphone user recently made a complaint that struck a chord with most people. He bought a brand new smartphone that comes with 128 gigabytes of memory capacity. But as he turned on this brand new smartphone, surprise, surprise, only 112 gigabytes were available. We'll do the math for you. 16 gigabytes went missing, and this is new. A smartphone.
Yeah.
I just got a little overwhelmed. What happened? Where did that memory go?
Now, this is a question that dates back to an age even before smartphones. I mean, I'm not sure about you guys. I mean, I've been paying attention to the storage unit of my personal computer ever since when I was in college and getting my first desktop computer.
Can I just stop you for one tiny second,
Yeah?
please? Did you just choke up a little bit and got sentimental just because that there was less gigabytes?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It was regrettable. And it still is.
Okay.
why did it make you feel that way?
Because, like you, Yingpeng, I was wondering, I mean, you bought perhaps a 4 gigabyte memory hard drive, but you don't get it. Because, the common practice in the business, in the technology business, is they don't go by the rules. Because if you were to go by the rules, and you know the math, 1 gigabyte equals to what? 1,024 megabytes, and then 1 megabyte equals to 1,024 kilobytes,
Wow.
and then 1 kilobyte equals to 1,024 bytes. But when these disk makers they're producing these hard drives, they don't go by that math.
They round it up.
They round it up. So they would in their math, 1 gigabyte equals to 1,000 megabytes. And then 1 megabyte equals to 1,000 kilobytes. So as a result, there's a huge discrepancy to begin with. Even when you get a brand new hard drive. So and then the case with smartphones is they come with pre-installed operating system and pre-installed applications, which is slightly different from when you are using a desktop computer. I know many people, when they buy desktop computers, they come with the operating system installed as well. But I have had experience of installing my own, operating system, and therefore to reformat the hard drive, I have to put in the numbers as to how many megabytes or gigabytes I would assign into a disk. So I've done the math, and that's when I found out that I'm not getting what I paid for.
Right. And just to be clear, gigabytes is the unit of measurement that is the biggest.
GB.
here.
Well, there's TB as well.
Oh, right. Okay, but we're not including TB in this
Because
discussion.
smartphones, they're yet to reach a level that's indicated by TB.
But maybe we are not that far away from that day. Maybe.
Yeah, with certain companies like Apple, I think they allow you to buy storage unit, iCloud storage unit. You can pay for 1 terabyte or 4 terabytes.
But that's not the same. It's not on my phone.
No.
I have to be on the internet to be on
Right.
the cloud, and I don't want to do. I'm just being really naughty here.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Lai Meng, for that very. I wouldn't say straightforward, but that was very clear the way you explained something that involved a lot of numbers. And Huangshan, why do you think people are angry about that they're not getting what's written on the tin?
Because when choosing a new phone, I would say the amount of internal storage space is often one of the several key factors and which influences our decision to buy one phone over another. And when you realize you have been cheated by the phone manufacturers and after they stealing several amount of the storage space from your new phone, you will definitely feel irritated.
But is
especially
it stealing?
when
Especially
when
they
it's
are-
not cheap.
And also, especially when they are pressed at different levels with the different storage capacities. You know, sometimes when you are changing or you are upgrading your phone, you are trying to go for a new model. The major reason probably is because your old phone.
You're running out of space.
Yes. I only paid attention to this hidden trick, and when I was not very happy with my old phone, I had to clear the storage every day in order to free up some available storage for the new information to come into my phone. And to a point that you feel so irritated, and then you decide to change to a new phone. And when you buy a new phone, probably the first factor come into your mind is how big the storage space I want
Yeah.
for my new phone. And then you will also compare with the price to make the most cost effective decision. So when you're looking at the models and they are, for example, the cheapest model, they may priced at 5 or 6,000 for a certain brand, and it promise you with very likely 64 gigabytes. You think, oh, that could be fine for me. And my previous phone was only 16 gigabytes, and I think 64 gigabytes is available for maybe the next 2 years. But after you turn on the phone, you realize, wow, they deducted probably 10% of the storage space for the no matter operating system or the pre-installed applications.
Right.
And for these apps, you cannot delete them. They have to be there to support the operation of your new phone.
Well, in all fairness, I mean, the latest iOS system allows you to delete some of the non-essential applications
Yep.
previously deemed essential.
Right. And with the Android phones as well, like sometimes you get a ton of apps pre-installed, and are you able to delete
Yeah.
them? Yeah.
Yeah.
But they take
At
up.
your own peril, though.
Oh, so you mean sometimes some of them are useful,
Yeah.
and if you delete them, then well, trouble can come up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really annoying. But I don't know if it's that fair to say this storage or memory space has been stolen if, let's say, the operating system or some of the stuff that's already there is necessary to run this device.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that, well, I guess just what do you think about this sort of claim that, stuff has been stolen from me?
I think it's an issue in the sense that people have to pay more to get bigger storage units. Like Huang Shan mentioned earlier, a certain brand, when they sell the starter phones with 64 gigabytes of storage, is about what? 5,499.
That's a lot
and
of
if you
money.
want to upgrade to perhaps 128 gigabytes, you need to pay 800 yuan more.
Right.
So it's like you wonder, why can't they give you a bigger storage space when to begin with? Why begin with 64 gigabytes? Shouldn't I be offered more?
Right.
And that's one thing. And the other thing is, oh, I forgot the other thing.
It's okay. But what about this? Let's say if the manufacturer just comes up clean in saying, instead of stating the 64 gigabytes on the label, on the box, if we use that as an example, they just tell you it's, let's say, 54 gigabytes.
It doesn't
that
look
you're-
nice.
But the thing is that as a consumer, like
Yeah.
me, right?
Just tell me.
I'll be
I'm a big girl. I
happier.
can take it.
Yeah, I think my demand is very simple. Just be transparent.
Yeah.
So if the time I walk into your store and before I purchase this phone model, you just detailed all the information to me. Probably you can say, oh, the original storage space for this phone is how much, and then we will deduct how much of the storage space for the pre-installed or in apps OS or the the operating system, and then there's how much of storage space you can get.
That's a very good point, but
Yeah.
I don't think these smartphone makers will be able to tell you exactly how much space their operating system are going to take up. I mean, you could buy a phone which is running Android, what is it, 11, 12? I don't know what the latest model is, but that operating system will perhaps be taking up 8 gigabytes of your phone. But then there are system upgrades, there are patches, and then over time it scales up to a point that the smartphone maker can't really tell you from the outset exactly how much space this operating system is going to take.
But you don't need to tell me in the future what it's going to be. Just tell me as I turn on my brand new phone, all excited, and as the screen lights up, what I'm going to see.
Again, it doesn't look nice. I mean, because I'm not sure about you guys, but people with common sense would know that storage units are classified as 16, 32, 64, 128. These spaces. And when you look at a phone that says 53 gigabytes available on your phone, it doesn't look nice.
Well, isn't that something that they can fix, though? Because even with the so-called standard that Liming just uttered to us, it only became a rule within, the last decade or so. Isn't
Well,
not
it's a
too
rule because it's a binary system.
But you will find it out eventually. All you need to do is click into the general function and move to, the available storage space, and then you can get a very clear message of how much space you can use on this new phone.
Not necessarily, because I would say that in some cases, like if you are a user of an older model of the phone and you want to migrate your data to a new phone, there's no way for you to know what originally the operating system took from your storage unit.
So let's say if it was a perfect world and we were like Tim Cook or Lei Jun, or okay, that's terrible to open that question with because it's never gonna happen. But okay, let's say if it was a perfect world and we were to set the rules, what are the improvements that can be made so that as consumers would be, instead of having a big frown on their face when they see their brand new phone showing up with less memory space than expected, instead, flip that frown into a smile.
You know what? That's a very, very good question. You just reminded me of the second reason why I thought the storage was an issue, and that is a lot of these smartphones nowadays. I think iPhone started it. They don't allow external storage unit in the sense that you can't really buy an SD card or TF card and insert it to expand your storage unit. If you want bigger space, you pay more from the outset when you're buying it from the store. If you want 128 gigabytes of storage, you can't go to a shop and buy perhaps a 64 gigabyte SD card and have it plug into your phone so you have an extension. No. The smartphone companies, they sort of have a monopoly. They have a unilateral say in what kind of space you get when you're buying the phone. And I think that's not fair. Obviously, they have their considerations. They want to save storage. I mean, in order for users to use their own storage cards like SD card or TF card, they have to install a device within the machine in order to read the card. But again, it runs contrary to the design of the phone, and that is they want it to be as compact as possible. And plus, if you have a slot there to accommodate the card, that makes it harder to introduce features like waterproof features. So I really don't see the way out. Even as I see, there's a problem with companies having this unilateral say about what kind of space you get when you get a phone.
Ideally, my suggestion is, I don't think it will happen anytime soon, of course. So I hope these manufacturers, they can use the space that I lost or I compromise for the essential functions with regard to the internal storage space. They can add it up to my iCloud space.
So
Yeah.
instead of the 5 GB of free
because
storage you get now,
you have to pay extra service fee for the extra, iCloud space, and you can save everything on the cloud. So if you can guarantee the legitimate like Star Space I claimed by making that purchase decision, well, then probably you can make it up like by putting it on my digital cloud, the
That's a-
digital storage space.
Yeah, that's a fair point again here, because remember there was a time when iPods they came in models with 8 GB of storage, and over time it climbed to 16, 32, and 64, but you've never seen the iCloud storage being improved. I mean, it's always been 5 GB of free space, and that's it. If you want more, you pay more.
You
yeah.
should keep up with the time.
Yeah. And I'm not paying for that. I'm not paying for that extra stuff. No, never. Put my foot down. I'm firm about that. Okay, so I think there are two ways to look at this. One is if I am this, regular consumer and user as I am, and I'm keeping my head down and just doing my business, I attempt to free up my memory space on my smartphone every day. At the end of the week, let's do a weekend wrap of cleaning stuff up, and that's how I managed to keep the number of photos on my phone less than 2,000. That's quite little, right?
That's what I do. I have only about a dozen photos on my smartphone.
Oh,
I back them up every day.
I'm an
okay.
information hoarder.
Okay, there you go. So, that's one thing maybe you can do just to adapt this habit and do the so-called cleaning yourself. And also another way to look
if
at
you can
this.
wait 2 years for the warranty to expire, or if you want to forego warranty, you can pay for somebody to open up your phone and install a bigger storage unit. But there's also the issue of compatibility and quality.
Okay, that's the kind of option that makes me want to doze off, because I'm never gonna do that. That's just not me. But maybe there are some people who are nerds, or who are
It's a
really
big business.
who are more
Tech savvies.
into tech, and also just don't want to get a new phone that easily, which is good for the environment of not getting the new phone, I mean. So that's one thing to do. But I think another way to look at this is, it's all about managing the expectation of your consumer. And don't you want to keep your consumer happy and don't make them feel like they've been cheated when, in my opinion, this could be a little bit of a subject to debate.
But remember, the smartphone makers, they don't create the problem. It's the disc makers to begin with when they're making. Remember what I said about the math, different sets of math? So it's the disc makers that started this. And then, honestly, you can't afford to buy a phone that doesn't have an operating system pre-installed. So, and also, this goes back several decades. People are pretty much grown used to this.
Yeah, but
They haven't complained over the past few decades. Why are they complaining these days?
because we're becoming increasingly aware as consumers, and we live with this stuff in our hands. And also, I think there's just a sense of being exploited because you don't know. And once it's become, blown wide in the daylight, and then users are going to have some questions about this, debates, and even just outright complaints. So do something, phone people.
Okay.
I mean, the developers of these phones. And how to up your PR game, we're watching. You're listening to Roundtable. Coming up next, what's going to happen is we're going to have our heart-to-heart segment.
You ask.
We answer. Roundtable. Heart to heart.
Who's got a question for Roundtable?
Hi guys. First of all, I want to thank you. Thank you for bringing me all this latest information about society, or just a lot of joy, because I listen to you guys every day, and Thank you guys. I like you guys very much. And I'm Sarah. I'm a graduate student in Beijing Foreign Studies University. And first of all, I just want to take this opportunity to express my deep love for Zhou Bichang, the Chinese singer, or Baby Zhou. Well, I just love her so much, and I want to meet her, or I want to be friends with her because I think we have a lot in common, and she's just my superstar. And well, I have to say this because sorry about that. But actually, my question is about interpersonal relations. Like I've said, I think I have a lot in common with Zhou Bichang because I think we are just this type of ambivert type of person. That is, when we are with our closest friends, people we know so well, we can be really relaxed and hilarious. But when I'm with my boss or my colleagues or my teachers or my fellow students, I don't know that well. I can be really nervous, or I don't know what to say. It's really awkward. And the most awkward thing is when I go into a party, walk into a party with a lot of people there. I just don't know how to bond with people. I just feel so uncomfortable, and I'm not confident enough, I think. But actually, I'm not a quiet girl or a nervous person at all, because when I'm with my closest friends, I have a lot to talk, and I don't feel nervous or awkward at all. I can feel so comfortable and relaxed and jocular. But when when I with people I'm not that familiar with, I'm a little bit afraid of talking to that person because I don't know what to say. So could you give me some suggestions on how to socialize with people, how to be with people, get along with people I'm not that familiar with? Well, I'd be really grateful for you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for sending us that audio clip. And I could just feel in your voice the sincerity of your allegiance to the singer. and thank you for, tagging us along, and I'm glad that you enjoy the show. So what'd you say to Sarah?
Hey Sarah, how's the canteen food, alumnus? I mean, has they improved, or there's just no hope for BFSU canteen? The greeting from alumnus. Again, go back to your question. The discussion about ambivert. I would say most people is an ambivert.
How would you define an ambivert? Although we did talk about this yesterday on the show. If you're interested, please go to the archives on Apple Podcast at Roundtable China to find it out.
Right.
But how would you define it, Lai Ming?
Something in between an extrovert and
An introvert.
Introvert. Somebody. Well, most people are like that. When they're happy and they are outgoing and easygoing, when they're with somebody they're familiar with, and they can be a little jittery and nervous when they are around somebody they're not familiar with. And I've been in the same position as what you think you are. And my solution is don't worry about it. First of all, don't buy that talk that your parents probably have given you, and that is you need to be easygoing and be able to make friends with any type of people. You don't have to. You're a graduate at Beijing Foreign Studies University. Most likely you're going to be a skilled worker, an office worker, somebody with expertise. And so you can afford not to be friends with everybody out there. Again,
but she wants to socialize with people.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, the minute you stop worrying about it is the minute you start making friends. And there's a saying in China, 路遥知马力，日久见人心. So and the longer you get along with somebody, the better you will know about his or her personality and characteristics. So if I were you, I would not worry about what to say in my in the first sentence when I approach somebody, because if I want to be friends with this person, I know that over time they will know who I am, regardless of what I say, whether or not I've been a good talker at the very beginning, whether or not I've impressed them.
Yeah, that's how I feel about you, Lai Ming. Huang Shen, what do you say to Sarah about how to socialize with people?
I think it's very normal nowadays that we just have a very small circle of friends. Some people may use it as the hallmark of an introvert, but to some cases, people may just prefer the depths of friendship or a relationship more than ever. And it's totally fine to be an ambivert. And I learned a new term yesterday from our discussion. It's called antisocial extrovert. Probably you were just fit in that category. And I think you just don't need to be too worried about it. I just remember one of Eason Chan's song just, left me teary-eyed. The song was talking about like there's nothing wrong with being an extrovert and only at the same times. So because I think I'm an extrovert, but sometimes I feel so lonely. I feel like people around me, they don't understand me at all. It's totally fine to be just in the middle. And if you just are not happy or just you are confused with your current personality traits, we can broaden the categories. And I highly recommend a personality test for you. It's called MBTI. That will classify the personality traits in maybe over 10 categories. So probably you can get a better insights into the secrets of your personalities.
Interesting. So get to know yourself a little bit better maybe would help you to become the kind of person that you want to be. I would just say this would less be of working on your perceived weakness. I think it's more about building up your ability to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And trust me, as we become adults and grow older and, do wonderful things as we manage to achieve them, you need to do that to get out of the comfort zone. And you can come up with a plan with that. Do you think He Yang is someone who's extremely extroverted? I am not, actually. And I
You're
still
not?
I still remember my palms were so sweaty before I entered that club. How am I going to talk to these people? I'm not an extroverted person. Come up with a plan and also emulate someone who might be a role model. That's it for today.
From the African savannah to the ancient Silk Road, we invite you to join us on the front lines to share stories that move the world. Get registered on cgtn.com and submit a video within 3 minutes giving us a self-introduction to prove your presentation skills, language ability, and news sense as a reporter, presenter, podcaster, or social media influencer. All in all, what we'd call a media challenger. Not only will you be eligible to win up to $10,000, but you'll also get a chance to receive professional multimedia training and be enlisted into the CGTN talent pool. And who knows, there's also the possibility of having your voice heard and felt worldwide. The registration has already begun. CGTN, the Media Challengers. Come and join us and make a difference.